Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fearless and Free TV. Welcome, all of you beautiful beings of light. Today, I have on Sean Morgan. He's going to be talking to us about crypto for beginners. I'm really excited to have this conversation with him because that's something I've been curious about for quite a few years. Actually, I kind of knew crypto was coming about 10 years ago, but have never really dove into what it is. And I do know there's a lot of misinformation that's out there right now. So I'm looking forward to speaking with him and finding out what's true and what isn't and how it benefits us. Before I bring him in, if you haven't yet, head on over to my website at victoriareynolds.com. Grab your free book, Rise Up, and see what else I'm up to over there. I am the author of 4 books. I have several programs available for you to help you transcend the fear-based reality. And I also provide one-on-one counseling services for those of you that have issues you're working through. If you want to receive a message from your higher self, if you have, as I said, issues. If you have fear-based beliefs you want help recognizing, that's what I help with a combination of communicating with your higher self and spiritual psychology. So, as I said, victoriareynolds.com. And now I'm going to bring in my guest, Sean Morgan. So, Sean, it is so great to meet you. And thank you so much for being here today and to talk about crypto. This is something I'm really, really curious about and have been for quite a while. And so I'm really excited to have you on here to explain to me and to my audience what crypto is and about your Crypto for Beginners course and all of that. So thank you for being here.
You bet. I'm passionate about this subject. I believe crypto can actually help people and the world, unlike the traditional system, which is actually dying as we speak.
So what is your background? How did you get into crypto?
Well, I started writing about it as just a blogger about how the future is how different converging technologies are going to change our daily life. And so virtual reality and a lot of different things. And so I was just writing about it because I just had this overwhelming sense that this was as big of a game changer as the internet. And so then I was working in China. I was teaching English there. And I contacted a cryptocurrency company and I told them I had some background in marketing and I understood the space. And they hired me to be their Western marketing manager. And so I worked for them for a while. Then I worked for an American company called Chronologic, being a marketing manager and business developer for them. So I've worked in the cryptocurrency field for a few years. And then I created one of the first multilingual crypto education apps. So just realized that just like the internet, one of the big stumbling blocks is people being able to handle just learning about it, just figuring out how to learn how to type, learn how to send an email in the case of the internet, in the case of crypto, how to start an account, how to send it and spend it and do all the basic things. So I created a course about that.
Oh, that's great. That's one of the things that's been kind of confusing for me. The concept of blockchain, I'm still trying to wrap my head around. And I know that is where the world is heading. So I got to share with you about 10 years ago, I was in my car on a road trip. I don't remember where I was, but a message came in. So I'm very telepathic and I get messages from spirit all the time. And this message came in about this new money that's going to be created and for a share economy. And I saw what it was going to look like. And I was like, okay, that's great. Please give this to someone else because I don't even know where to go with it. So I was really excited when Bitcoin showed up a couple of months later. I was like, oh, good, somebody else got the message. That means I don't have to do anything with it. So I get messages quite often about new technologies and new things that are coming into the world, but that I'll hand them off to someone else because I know that it's not my purpose. However, I'm being shown it for a reason. So I was shown the Bitcoin before it even came out. And so although I didn't invest, and I asked about it then, I said, well, should I invest? And what I was shown is no, it is like an introduction. So at the time I didn't invest in it. But what I've been shown very recently is the idea of cryptocurrency is a concept that's really just getting started. And that blockchain technology is also a concept that's just getting started. So this is, as you were saying, it's like being on the cutting edge of the internet when the internet first came out. That's where we are with this. And so I think it's really important for people to understand that this is, well, it's almost like an opportunity to get in on the ground floor in a sense, because these technologies will be used to be it's funny because I'm seeing ground floor in a completely different way. I'm seeing like the ground, right? And planting all these seeds in the ground. That's for me, that's what blockchain is. It's creating like a whole new ground in which to plant our reality. It's
Absolutely.
really fascinating.
I'm with you. I do agree with everything you said, that we're still at the beginning. It can be the future ground or infrastructure of a new system. It's not just blockchain. Blockchain is kind of the catch-all term for Bitcoin and Ethereum and the biggest cryptocurrencies. But there are many experimental cryptocurrencies that use a similar technology of decentralization, and they call it DLT, decentralized ledger technology, but they do different things, not just blockchains. So yeah, we're at the beginning. We don't know where this is going, but we know that the old system has major problems.
Right.
When you centralize power, it tends to corrupt and people take advantage of that. When you decentralize anything, it makes it more resilient, harder to take advantage of. And so these things like Bitcoin and other things are basically just distributed networks of computers. And that's why Bitcoin's never been hacked, because you'd have to hack thousands and thousands of computers to be able to hack Bitcoin. And it's so far been proven impossible. And so, yeah, there's just so much opportunity. There's so much good for humanity, because we've had this darkness and this lack of transparency in the financial system. And Bitcoin and crypto is bringing transparency, accountability, participation for everyone. And this is really, really good for humanity.
Yeah, what I was seeing with these is that it provides an opportunity for anybody to invest in what they believe in. So what I'm seeing the future for crypto is the ability to use it to raise money for projects, for companies, for a film project, for example. You actually create your own personal crypto, and then people can invest in your project, where it's kind of like a replacement for the old stock market, which we know was built on greed and control. Where this is built on, it's basically built by the people for the people.
Right. Nobody owns it. Nobody controls it. It's getting to the point now, a crisis point, where people are not going to trust in governments and not going to trust in currencies. And when it really gets to that point, people are going to flee the currencies and shelter themselves somewhere where they believe it has value. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure people, like, already in the past year, actually used cars have gone up higher than the stock market in the last year, because people are actually, buying things that are physical that they know have value and abandoning other things. And so it's just weird. It's a weird world to live in, where used cars go up in value. It never used to happen like that. We're in inflationary times. But I believe silver, gold, land, and Bitcoin are going to be some of the things that people flee to, and that's going to cause the price to skyrocket. It's already happened in certain countries that have had runaway inflation, hyperinflation, like Venezuela, Argentina, Turkey, different countries that have really bad monetary policy. The citizens are forced to figure out what to do with their money because they can't keep it in their native currency.
Right. Yeah, and I started seeing that a while ago too, which is to put your money into hard assets, because our money isn't really worth anything. They're just printing it off, and it's based on debt. So if there's another financial collapse, the money's not really worth anything.
Right. The thing is that isn't unprecedented. We've been through times. I mentioned Venezuela, Zimbabwe, the Weimar Republic, Germany in the 30s. When money went from being valuable one day to the next day, it took, wheelbarrows full of money just to buy a loaf of bread. So it can become worthless so fast. Already in the last 50, 100 years, the dollar has lost 99% of its value. So it's been happening slowly over time. People don't notice it, but certainly, if you were trying to buy a gallon of gas 50 years ago, it would take the same amount of silver coins to buy a gallon of gas today. So the price of gas has not gone up or down in 50 years in terms of silver. But in terms of the dollar, it's gone up by, 1,000%.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, my gas here where I live is $5.30 a gallon.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I never thought I'd see it go over 5, but they're just fine. They just kept going. And I didn't realize that was not the case, for example, in comparison to silver.
Right. So, some people even say, and this would be an analogy for silver, but in another analogy, you could say just because Bitcoin's been going up for 10 years is one of the greatest, probably the greatest asset you could possibly own in the last 10 years. You could say it hasn't actually been going up in value. It's just that the dollar and the currencies have been going down in value.
Okay.
So, it's just another way of looking at it. Some people in the crypto space don't even think in terms of dollars anymore. They're like, the dollar is dead, the dollar's gone. I don't even think of things in terms of the dollar. I'm thinking of how much cars and houses and different things cost in terms of a Bitcoin price. So you really have to do a paradigm shift. Stop thinking of things in terms of how much it costs in dollars, because the dollar just keeps on going down in value.
Okay. So with regard to investing in crypto, is this kind of like investing in a different kind of stock market in a sense?
Yeah, that'd be one way to look at it. If people go to coinmarketcap.com, it's a free website, and the first thing you'll see is a ranking of all of the cryptocurrencies in the world according to market capitalization, the size. And the most expensive, the one that is the biggest and the most popular and the most trusted, is Bitcoin, and it's worth almost $1 trillion right now worldwide. And then if you just keep on looking down, you'll just see all the other cryptocurrencies. You can keep going page after page. There are thousands of them. The same way we have registered companies on a stock market. But there's a big difference in that the stock market, you have to jump through all these hoops, all this regulation to start a company, to list your company, to have it be traded. And then you have all these gatekeepers that control and the insiders who have the closest access to the markets and all the inside information. And the markets are heavily manipulated. They open up at 9 a.m. New York time, and they close at 5 p.m. New York time. And then all the insiders trade the rest of the hours, but all the regular peasants aren't able to participate on the weekends or the evenings. It's not like that in crypto. In crypto, anyone can start a project, anyone can launch a cryptocurrency, anyone can trade it anytime, day or night, any holiday, and it's total freedom. And there's still manipulation because you have rich people jump in there and take advantage of the fact that they can buy a lot more and sell a lot more than others, but it's less manipulated than the stock market. So it's very interesting. And I think the good place for people to start, if they're overwhelmed by thousands of cryptocurrencies, just focus on Bitcoin because it is the most trusted and the most stable of all of them. Okay.
So there has been some news out there, though, that Bitcoin's having some issues. What would you say to that?
There's been some news lately of the price going down. Since November, the price has gone down around 40%. So this is a big correction. Also, you could look at it as a big discount. If you think that Bitcoin is a pristine asset, maximum 21 million Bitcoins will ever be created. So it's a limited supply. Whereas dollars, they're not scarce. They print more every day. So they're getting less valuable every day. Bitcoin's getting more scarce every day. So if you think that Bitcoin is a pristine asset that's scarce and valuable and will become more valuable as more people learn about it and more people use it, then when the price goes down, you just want to buy more. It's like a discount. So it's just as resilient, just as strong as it's ever been. There's still a chance that it can go down even further in price. One of the big things on the horizon is that governments that are threatened by Bitcoin will probably try to regulate it or make it illegal. This has already happened in China and India and other major countries, but somehow the price has still gone up despite the fact that these big countries have made it illegal in those countries. But if the US makes Bitcoin illegal, you can bet the price will go down a lot. But if there's a currency crisis and people don't trust the dollar anymore, the question is, where would they go to put their value? You can't. It used to be Swiss francs were like the safe haven. It's not like that anymore. The Switzerland government's doing the exact same monetary policy as the American government. There's no safe haven that you can put your money as far as currencies. So it's just as far as ease of use and efficiency, the fact it's like the money of the internet. You can send it and spend it at the speed of light. So it's just kind of the go-to place. It's a lot easier to work with $1 million in Bitcoin than $1 million in gold that you have to load up and put in vaults and guard and transport. It's quite heavy to deal with gold.
But it's also a good idea to diversify too, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Some of it in gold
I'm a really big fan of diversification. I think you should diversify even within asset classes. So, for example, precious metals, make sure you get gold and silver. Or if you do get gold, you could get, collectible coins and bullion. Or if you get cryptocurrencies, you could get Bitcoin and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies. You can just keep diversifying as much as possible. And what you said before about hard assets, I'm a big fan of that in times like this. So, farmland where you can grow food and you can feed your family and you can have your own business and other hard assets like solar panels, create your own energy, your own water and food supply and all that stuff. I think that's really, really valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, because the stock market, like we said, is manipulated. And my feeling is a lot of the companies that are at the top of the stock market are going to be disbanded. There's a good word for it. And we really want to have our money tied to those companies.
My day job is SeanMorganReport.com, and I'm reporting on the Great Awakening and all of these crimes against humanity that these major corporations are committing. Big tech, they're censoring us. They're not allowing the truth about the medical tyranny to come out. Big pharma, there are all these really, really big multi-billion-dollar companies that are committing crimes against humanity, and they will have to pay the price. They will be liable for these crimes, and it's not going to be good for their stock price. So that's on top. You don't want to have
your money tied to those businesses. Right. Yeah,
and that's on top of the fact that we're in a stock market bubble.
Yeah. So what I was shown in the fall of 2019, I was shown very clearly that those businesses that are based on greed will cease to exist. And I think this is the beginning of the end of the stock market, because the stock market itself was built entirely on greed. And so, the idea of investing in other companies has been around for a long time. If you are someone who has money and you see a company that you believed in, let's say go back like 500 years, then you could invest in that company and own a percentage of that company. The stock market was invented for the sole purpose of rich men getting rich.
Yeah, it's gambling. I like the concept of splitting a company into shares, and that's a real physical share of value. But when people are just gambling on if something's going to go up or down, it gets really unhealthy. And we've been through this as a species many times in markets with these speculative bubbles, and it never ends well.
Yeah. And my feeling is that, as we said just before I got on camera, my feeling is we're going to see another crash in February. I don't know why that was given to me. My guides never use dates, but for some reason, February has come up. And so as we're saying off camera, I got to call my banker and say, hey, how do I get my money out of the stock market, my IRA, I got to get it out of the stock market and put it someplace else before it crashes. And so we were talking about that a little bit. Do you know how people would go about doing that?
Well, I mean, if you can do two things, you can move money around. So you could take your money out of Fortune 500 companies, typical corporations, and you could put them into alternative investment vehicles that represent physical things like land, silver, gold. I'm even interested in uranium, physical uranium. You can invest and own physical uranium, which is actually one of the cleanest carbon neutral energy sources in the world. And you could invest in a company like MicroStrategy or Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. These just make it easy for you to own Bitcoin without having to deal with the private keys and the wallet and all these things. You're buying a company that buys the Bitcoin and you own the company. But if you want to get completely out, you just talk to your financial advisor, whoever might be managing this IRA or 401k or whatever, and just find out how you cash it out. There's usually a penalty if you're under 62 and a half. You have to pay taxes on it or whatever, and then you have it in cash. And some people might not even want to have the cash. So then you have to figure out, okay, should I buy farmland? Should I buy silver and gold? Should I buy Bitcoin? The nice thing about Bitcoin is you don't have to lug it around.
Right.
You can be private. You don't have to tell people about it. No one has to know about it. The government can't take it away from you. In the 1930s, people who had gold were told by the government, this is illegal. You're not allowed to hoard gold anymore. And you are forced to turn it into the government, and we will pay you whatever price we think is fair. And then, of course, as soon as the government confiscated Americans' gold, they increased the price so that they could make more money. So the people who didn't turn their money into the government actually made money, and the people who followed the rules and turned their gold in lost a lot of money. But they can't do that with Bitcoin. They cannot possibly. There's just no way for the government to even know or find your Bitcoin, and you don't have to pay taxes on it until you sell it. So, yeah, very interesting.
Okay. That is interesting. I know that they've done that with silver. I've seen the manipulation with silver over the years of they intentionally will sell high and then crash the price and then buy it back up. Not necessarily the government, but banks, I think, do that.
Yes. JP Morgan's paid hundreds of millions of dollars worth of fines for manipulating the precious metals markets. They're happy to pay those fees because, hey, they make a lot more money by manipulating the market. They're also they are the people that have the most physical silver in a vault. So that allows them to sell the silver over and over again on paper and just trade the pieces of paper instead of the physical silver. So yeah, I mean, talk about centralization. This is just the opposite of what we want as humanity, to have one major bank be holding most of the world's silver. That's not a good thing. We can't trust them. We know we can't trust them. They're paying all these fines because they admit to crimes. So Bitcoin is very empowering for you to say, you know what, I'm going to be my own bank.
Okay. And then how there's Bitcoin, which of course is that's the first one. That's basically what got the whole cryptocurrency ball running.
Yes.
How would people, aside from Bitcoin, look at other coins to invest in?
I would start at coinmarketcap.com, that site I told you about, where it ranks the cryptocurrencies according to their size. The top 10, the top 20 are going to be the most important, the most valuable, the most interesting projects in the world. Of course, they're the most expensive too. That's usually the way it works. But yeah, start researching from there. You're going to get links to the websites of the projects. You can do your due diligence. You'll find out different exchanges that they're available where you can buy them. So that's a really good place to start.
And I like that too, because you can go to the websites and see what they're all about and really, test however it is that you test what feels best. In my case, I tune in and I have a conversation with spirit about what's best for me. Some people use their pendulum to decide what's best for them, but this really empowers people to do their own research rather than relying on a money manager to just put their money wherever the popular place is to put it.
Yeah, popularity is a recipe to lose your money because you start getting into the fear of missing out. They call it FOMO in the crypto world. And, something becomes popular, some famous person tweets about it, and then a whole bunch of people buy it, and the price goes up into a speculative bubble, and then it crashes.
Right.
So other than the beginner's course, what I offer is trade signals. So that's $49 a month. And 5 days a week, I send out an email with an article or a video where I'm explaining why, conscious crypto projects that I actually believe are helping humanity, why I believe it might be a good time to buy or sell them. And so I think you can learn a lot about the project by going to the website and researching them. Some of these projects like Ripple are full of basically just former bankers, and they're just recreating a banking culture. And other projects like Stellar, which is also another big project, has a very, pro-humanity, a very egalitarian kind of ethos, and it's written all over their website. They don't hide it, what their culture is and what their values are. And so you're going to be able to tell a lot from a company by reading its white paper and seeing what it talks about on its website.
That's great. Yeah, and that's what I was being shown a couple of years ago, is that the companies that are conscious companies, those will be the ones that will thrive as these other businesses start collapsing. So I'm glad that you're providing that as a service, because a lot of us wouldn't even know where to start researching these companies. And so it sounds like your weekly mailer is going to be very helpful.
Yeah, it's daily, Monday through Friday. It's $49 a month. You can try it for 1 month, cancel if you don't get value from it. But most of these types of crypto newsletters are very complex. They talk about on-chain analytics, and they talk about technical things. And it's more information than we need or even are able to digest. And so I just make a couple of paragraphs, or I make a 3-minute video, and I explain something in regular people's terminology and simplify things. And I think that's the major value.
Yeah, that's great, because if it's for people like me, I really have no interest in learning the technology, and I just want to know the best place to put my money.
Right.
And crypto, I'm sorry, not crypto. Well, crypto is still a little bit of a mystery to me, but blockchain is a mystery to me. I just know it's going to be an excellent platform, that movies are going to be built on it, a new internet's going to be built on it, a new television can be built on it. That was basically working with the quantum field in a sense. That's the feeling I get from it, is that it's working with the quantum technology. But I don't need to know the technology, because I'm not a technology geek. Not
right.
Geek is actually a good word these days.
Right. No one needed to know how a car engine worked to drive a car, or how email encryption works to use email. This is the same thing. And for those of you who are into computer science, just go for it. Learn as much as you can. But people who just don't have an interest in that, you don't need to know the technical stuff to get the benefits. The course that I sell, it's like lifetime access. You get a series of videos, animations, an audiobook, and an ebook. And it's just the basics. It's the 6 steps of participating. So, understanding why it's important, what problems it solves, learning how to buy cryptocurrency, how to store it or secure it, how to send it to other people or to other accounts, how to spend it like money on goods and services, and ultimately how to sell it. And hopefully you sell it for more money than you bought it for, and then you'll be really happy. So you have to learn all these basic steps to participate, and they're not complicated. It only takes a few hours to digest this course.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I definitely will be buying that course. And both of the programs that you have available, the newsletter too, because I do think it's really important to stay up on what the newest opportunities are. And
It's that's the thing. Like if I did a weekly newsletter, you would be too late for most of the
okay,
stuff that happens. This stuff moves lightning fast.
okay,
So that's why I'm doing Monday through Friday. 5 days a week. You're going to find out what's going on today, this hour, right now. That's actionable. Things are moving quite fast.
okay. Yeah, in this world we're in right now, everything is moving really, really fast. So I could see how that would be the case with the crypto as well. And I see so much opportunity with that. As I was saying in the beginning, to be able to have, as soon as I found out what crypto is, this was about a year ago, I started seeing, oh my gosh, I could create, because anybody can create their own crypto, right? As you were
Yeah,
saying, if I were to make a movie, for example, that movie could be funded by a crypto, by the people buying into it. And then if the movie makes a bunch of money, the people who own crypto actually make money on the movie.
absolutely.
So
That's
it's not like
one
having
way
to
it could
go to
happen.
you don't have to go to the big people with a lot of money and get the green light to make your movie. You go to the people and the people fund the movie. And if the movie does well, the people, all who have invested in the movie, make money off the movie.
Right. Yeah, that
It's
was one
it's such an
application.
amazing concept.
Yeah, I think fundraising is a big option here.
Mhm.
Last week, I was deplatformed from Venmo and PayPal. That was one of the best ways for me to raise money with the people that support my program, Sean Morgan Report. And now, I have to find other ways. These big corporations, they don't like the Great Awakening. They're actively censoring people who are seeking the truth. But with crypto, that's impossible. They cannot debank you. They cannot deplatform you, and it's censorship resistant is the terminology
Mm,
for it, and that's just shows the nature of it is more ascendant, more love and light than the traditional financial system. That's about that fear and greed and lack of transparency and opaqueness and centralization.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's a tremendous opportunity for people for and just it is so for a concept that's just creating their own coin, if you will. It's a whole new kind of crowdfunding.
Yeah,
That's kind of where I'm seeing one way that crypto can go. Where
absolutely.
crowdfunding right now goes through these different crowdfunding um, websites. It could be done in a whole new way.
And
And
completely independently. There are certain people who have tried to use GoFundMe, and then GoFundMe shuts down their campaign. Takes all the money back.
mhm.
So once again, centralization has a lot of drawbacks, and GoFundMe is the biggest one on the block. So
Yeah,
people think, oh, I'm going to crowdfund, I'll use GoFundMe, and then they don't realize that GoFundMe will censor them and deplatform them, and so you can't do that with crypto. It's decentralized.
I had no idea GoFundMe was doing that to people.
Yes.
Well, I guess because they consider themselves a private company, or like all of these other platforms, if it's our company, our rules, so they can just deplatform people whenever they feel like it, right?
That's the
I mean,
excuse they
that's kind of what they
use.
say.
Yeah, that's the excuse they use. The way I think about it is that when something gets big enough and successful enough, the kind of people of darkness
Hmm.
just buy it up, and so they can
Hmm.
control it. And it's been their tactic for a long time, but you can't control Bitcoin, no matter how, it's too decentralized at this point.
Okay.
Like I said, even when China and India made it illegal to own Bitcoin in those countries, two of the biggest economies and most populated places in the world, it was already decentralized to every country in the world, so it didn't even make a dent in the price within the medium term.
Got it.
So, yeah, that's the beauty of decentralization.
Yeah, that's cool. So it is power to the people, really.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Wow. Well, this has been really, really interesting, and thank you so much for that. I'm really seeing this so much more clearly than I did. You know, as I said, 10 years ago, I was shown that this was coming, but I didn't really understand how valuable it is, and that this is, yeah, this is, to me, this is the new way of doing business. It's a new way for people to be able to work together, and do business together without, as you said, without the constraints of the banking industry, because the banking industry is, it gets in there and it's got its little fingers and everything. And this is a way for us to do business our way.
Yes, absolutely. We can make up the rules. And a lot of these cryptocurrency projects give community voting rights. And that's a big part of it. So you can actually say where you want certain funds to go within these projects and participate as an active participant. So it's a form of democracy, and it's really exciting to be a part of. When I was working for the cryptocurrency company, they were sending me on conferences around the world, and I was interviewing these project members of these different cryptos, and they were some of the smartest and kindest, most beautiful people I met. It was like the opposite of a banking conference, which would be so stuffy and so formal. And these are young people in jeans and a t-shirt, but then you find out they have a PhD from MIT, and they're geniuses. But yeah, anyone can be a part of it, and that's different from the old system.
Cool. Well, that's the reality that we're moving into. We're basically toppling the people at the top, and in creating and I've been shown this for years, as turning the money tables. So in the past, our money tables have all looked like pyramids, but we're flipping them up to be, it's a vessel. So there's the people who have the most amount of money, or not the most amount of money. That right now there's a few at the top with the most amount of money, and the people at the bottom have very little. It's going to be the other way around, where the vast majority is flourishing, and only a few aren't. So
invert the power pyramid.
Yeah.
And I saw an interesting meme recently that said, "Don't take a seat at the table that Jesus would have flipped over." So don't be a part of this dying system.
Yeah.
You're going to go down with the ship, So
Absolutely.
This is a very interesting subject, and I love teaching it and being a part of it. So either program that you get, if you get the course, you're learning through cartoons and animations and all kinds of different things. For the daily videos and articles, you get to see what's really fresh on my mind and my research. So it's a way of kind of being my student and having a relationship with me. And you can click reply on these emails, and I will respond to people when I have time.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, wow. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing this with my audience, and with the world, because as we know, nothing ever stays just within a particular audience. When we have these conversations, whether people see this show or not, it's going out across the airwaves, and that vibration is being picked up all over the world. So it's one of the reasons I love doing this show, because I know I'm making a difference in the world simply by having these conversations and these narratives being part of the new collective consciousness. So for those of you who are watching, I do have the links to Sean's programs in the comments below. Please go to those and learn all that you can and participate. This is a very exciting new world that we're creating right now. And as the world starts collapsing around us, and it will, those old systems are going to start collapsing. It's really important that we already have our feet, if you will, invested in the new world, so that we're able to hold strong in the storm as it comes through and starts taking out the old systems. So it's really important that we, again, get our feet settled into the new systems, which includes cryptocurrency. Thank you so much, Sean, for being here. And thank you all for watching. As always, remember to hold your light so high others can't help but see their own light. Together, we are creating a world of peace, prosperity, freedom for all life on earth. And as always, get bold, be fearless, and live free. you.